Yeah, we don't have to play that out to the end. Good morning. Welcome to Our
Yeah,
Black
John,
News.
John, you'll have to talk to your production staff about that. That's
About what?
yeah.
About what? What's the problem?
Well, just the music, the intro. Maybe we'll have
They
to
do
talk to the
have
staff.
music
We'll
here,
have to have a meeting. We'll have a
and I
meeting with the production
and
staff.
I know that you're a great musician, and this is their jazz version here. Listen to this, Anthony. Tell me
Hey,
what you
Mr.
think.
Scott. Plus, we don't get paid enough to be getting up at 9:30 either. That's another thing that
There
we
you
gotta.
go.
That's another thing we got to talk about.
Yeah. 9:30. I figured 9:30 because we do it on Saturday at 9:30, and this is a special program for today. And let's
Well,
see
let's
if
lay
we
it
can.
down. Let's let the funk down. Just let put the funk out there. I mean,
Yeah,
this fraud, all this stuff. I'm tired of all this bullshit that's going on in this city, and let's lay it down. I'm
yeah.
glad
Okay.
we have
Well,
the guest. I didn't get a chance to meet you, Mr. Reed, but I'm Anthony Scott, and it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
I'm happy to.
and my apologies. But anyway, obviously we're going to be talking about. Wasn't the gala over the weekend? It was like Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, at the Metropolitan out there in St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, that kind of area. And I haven't talked to anybody that attended, and I don't think anybody would tell me they attended. But I know some of our black elites, HNICs, were out there, glad handing and hobnobbing. But we have a special guest today, Mr. Edward Reed, who's the business owner. He owns Sincere Detailing Pros LLC, 38th in Chicago, and he's been adversely affected by what's been going on in the 38th in Chicago area. I call it 38th in Chicago because I grew up on 37th in Portland, and I walked down there for 4 years, going back and forth to past Chicago and 38th, going to Bancroft Elementary School in the 70s when it was
And I
a
co-sign that with you, Don. That's what I call it too. 38th in Chicago, and I really like your visual that you put up with the signpost there. 38th in Chicago. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Period. So what we're gonna do here is our producers, Anthony, they did a good job on this. They made a video. They made a video of all the information, factual information that we could get and they put it in a bot and it spit out a video. So before we get into it with Mr. Edwin Reed and everybody else to talk about this 38th in Chicago and these celebrations and things like that and what's really going on, there's another piece of it that the community has not really gotten a chance to learn about. Hopefully they'll learn about it today. And by the way, I would like to thank Mr. Edwin Reed personally. We believe in full disclosure here. The month of June or May and June broadcast for Our Black News on Restream was covered by him. It's $50 a month, and he donated $100. And I have receipts. If anybody wants to pay it, we paid for 2 months. And this is the first time in history that a business owner has come on and said, "Hey, how can I help your show and get this information out?" And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And full disclosure, I'm telling everybody, and those of you that use Restream, it's like $49, $99 a month. And I've been paying for it. Anthony's been pitching in every now and then, but for 13 years, well, no, for 10 years on Restream, basically.
But see, this is Don.
well,
This is what has to happen. We have to help us. See,
yeah,
we have to help and support ourselves, and then we have to change this thing. We have to get up there and put. Let's take our tiki torches out there. Let's get out there with our and let's. But this is a good sign that we're willing to help ourselves, and that's how we get out of this thing.
Well,
and
except for the elite, you had a bunch of the normal everyday Negroes at this here so-called gala patting each other on the back about how they ripped the damn community off, giving each other medals, gold medals, and all of this here type of stuff. Right?
yeah,
That's
just
basically
crazy.
that's what it came down. Because if it was that important, guess what? Us normal people who couldn't afford $250 would have been invited.
Yeah,
Normal people who report, who are on the streets, who are doing the right thing, who are talking about the right things, we would have been at that gala. But because we are not in that loop, we're not in that bubble. Good morning, Miss White. We are not of that ilk. We're not that Negro.
yeah,
We didn't get to
exactly.
go. So, but I just want to thank Mr. Reed very, very much for giving us this opportunity with him. And I look, I want to get into this because I just posted something on Facebook. What out of the $90+ million that Black Lives Matter walked out of here with?
Walked out.
What did they do for the Black community, especially in the state of Minnesota? What did they do? So Mr. Reed, I think, can answer some of those questions.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we're going to get back into it. And let me just, I forgot what I'm doing here. We're going to start with this video. You got to watch this video. It's hilarious, not in a funny way, but just to expose the things that we have missed, that people have not told us, that the local media has decided that, we don't need to tell anybody that. And so it's shameful, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to remove this logo so we can see the whole thing. And here, listen to this. Here we go.
All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're taking an objective look at a totally massive, frankly complex lawsuit filed by 8 minority business owners against the city of Minneapolis and Mayor Jacob Frey. This whole thing stems directly from the aftermath of the May 2020 unrest, right after the murder of George Floyd. We're going to break down the exact claims, the timeline, and the legal framework, relying on the actual documents and transcripts filed in the case. It is a fascinating look at what happens when civil rights, municipal governance, and constitutional law just collide head-on. But, before we get completely bogged down in the heavy legal jargon, we really need to understand the environment that sparked this lawsuit in the first place. It basically boils down to one central question. What happens when a city allegedly just withdraws basic services? I'm talking police protection, emergency response. What happens when they pull that from a commercial intersection? To really grasp the legal claims these business owners are making, we first have to look at the visceral, on-the-ground reality inside what literally became known as the no-go zone. To really set the stakes here, let's look at the actual 911 transcript submitted in the lawsuit. This one is from March 15, 2024. A caller named Jessica, who is a laundromat attendant right at 3725 Chicago Avenue, is frantically telling the operator that a man has been fatally shot inside a vehicle. She's pleading for help, saying there's a woman panicking and screaming, and honestly, the most terrifying part, there's a baby in the back of the car. This just paints such an immediate, unfiltered picture of the extreme danger happening right at this specific intersection. And the chaos was just unrelenting. Literally, 2 minutes later, on that exact same day, another call comes in. This transcript captures the hysterical pleas of a woman who had just survived an attempted robbery. Her partner, a man named Aaron Del Rey, had actually been shot. When you read this, you can just feel the sheer desperation as she begs for a policeman and an ambulance, screaming for someone to help her baby daddy. Then we have a third 911 call from that exact same incident, capturing a bystander reporting the bleeding victim. But listen really closely to what he says next. He tells dispatch, "I'm certified in advanced first aid, and I would not touch that guy." Just think about that for a second. The crowd and the entire situation were so volatile that a citizen specifically trained to save lives felt way too threatened to even step up and approach the victim. That is the daily, terrifying reality these business owners say they were completely trapped in. So that harrowing context brings us to the core of what we're explaining today. A petition for writ of mandamus and complaint has officially been filed by 8 minority-owned businesses. We're talking about real people running local spots like Sincere Detailing Pros, Just Turkey, and Finish Touch. They are officially suing the city, flat out alleging that Minneapolis affirmatively created this dangerous, barricaded environment that ended up destroying their properties, taking their revenue, and ultimately ruining their livelihoods. To understand how things got to this point, we need to trace the timeline laid out in the lawsuit. So May 25th, 2020, George Floyd is murdered. Shortly after that, on June 2nd, the city, under Mayor Frey, puts up these massive concrete barricades around the intersection, completely blocking traffic. Now, the plaintiffs allege the city promised to reopen the area by August 17th, but then totally broke that promise. They even ignored a September survey where, get this, 65% of respondents said they wanted the intersection reopened. Instead, those barricades stayed up for over a year, finally coming down on June 3rd, 2021. The lawsuit points out this massive, glaring disconnect between the city's narrative and what the plaintiffs actually experienced. The city's stated goal for the barricades, to create space for a memorial and facilitate community healing. Sounds reasonable, right? But the plaintiffs say the ground reality was a completely different story. They claim those barricades essentially enabled a totally autonomous zone. They allege civilian occupiers acted as barricade protectors, aggressively questioning visitors, slapping residents-only signs on things to turn customers away, and forcing people to park in back alleys. It completely suffocated the local businesses.
And the plaintiffs brought receipts. They used some seriously striking data to back up these claims of a no-go zone. According to the complaint, if you look at May to November 2020, violent crime citywide rose by about 34%. But in Ward 8, which is exactly where these barricaded businesses are, violent crime absolutely skyrocketed by 122%. The plaintiffs argue, look, this wasn't just some random coincidence. It was the direct result of the city's policies.
But wait, it gets even more staggering. According to the complaint, former police chief Medaria Arredondo actually told the news media that ShotSpotter technology, the system that detects gunfire, registered a mind-boggling 2,500% increase in gunshots at this specific intersection from 2019 to 2020. The area literally went from 33 detected firearm rounds to 700. Just let that sink in. Behind all those crazy statistics, though, is a very real, very severe human toll. Business owners reported finding dead bodies right outside their storefronts while watching their property values just freefall. Willie Frazier, who runs Finish Touch Co., says he witnessed armed robberies and even had his own car stolen in broad daylight. But honestly, the most shocking incident involves Ralph Williams, the owner of a local barber lounge. He was actually shot through both legs. The lawsuit states that because emergency services flat-out refused to enter the zone, he had to drive himself to the hospital, bleeding from bullet wounds in both legs. Unsurprisingly, many of these owners report developing severe PTSD, depression, and anxiety from all this.
Which brings us to Edwin Reed. He's a former CFL player and the owner of Sincere Detailing Pros. He ended up losing all his commercial dealership contracts because the barricaded area just became totally uninsurable. In this deeply personal letter to Mayor Frey, Reed wrote, "I witnessed 6 murders. I made multiple calls to 911 only to be told that officers could not come into what was considered a war zone. The extreme, non-stop stress of trying to operate in that environment took such a huge physical toll on Reed that he literally developed an enlarged heart, measuring 4.3 centimeters.
Section 2. The legal framework. Suing for accountability. So, we've seen the totally devastating reality on the ground. Now, how exactly are these businesses trying to hold the city accountable? Well, it hinges on this specific legal tool, the writ of mandamus. Now, this isn't just them asking for a payout. A writ of mandamus is this extraordinary court order that actually compels a government official or body to do their job, to perform a mandatory legal duty that they failed to execute. So the business owners are petitioning the court to use this writ to literally force the city of Minneapolis to formally recognize the immense damage they caused. And that ties perfectly into our next big concept, inverse condemnation. Okay, so normally, under regular eminent domain, the government takes your land for public use, right? And they pay you for it. But inverse condemnation is kind of the flip side. It happens when the government heavily damages your property or completely blocks your access to it without formally taking it, which essentially forces you to sue them to get just compensation. The lawsuit claims that by putting up those barricades and allowing this autonomous zone to flourish, the city effectively took the business's property rights without paying them a single dime. The plaintiffs are also going after a mandamus for police protection. The lawsuit points straight to the Minneapolis City Charter, specifically Title IX, Section 171.33 Zoo, which legally obligates the police to enforce laws and arrest violators. The plaintiffs are alleging the city made a deliberate, conscious choice to withdraw this mandatory protection, specifically from their barricaded area, basically throwing them to the wolves and leaving them to fend for themselves.
On top of that, the lawsuit outlines some incredibly severe discrimination claims under the Minnesota Human Rights Act. The plaintiffs argue that while the city maintained normal police protection in surrounding non-minority areas, they deliberately withdrew public services from these specific businesses. And because these plaintiffs are African American, female, and LGBTQ business owners, they are formally alleging that this targeted abandonment actually constitutes race, sex, and sexual orientation discrimination.
There's another genuinely fascinating legal argument buried in the complaint, Count X, vicarious liability. The plaintiffs are arguing that the city of Minneapolis is vicariously liable for their financial ruin. Why? Because Officer Derek Chauvin was acting as an official employee and agent of the city when he committed the murder that sparked the unrest in the first place. So their argument is that the city should be held financially responsible for the resulting economic devastation to the surrounding properties. If they actually win on this point, it could radically shift how cities nationwide are held liable for the actions of their police officers. When we look at the financials of all this, the contrast is honestly pretty stark. The city has been very publicly touting its equity pledges, highlighting $1.5 million in forgivable loans, $150,000 for artists and healers, and another $182,000 for undoing racism training. But the plaintiffs are crying foul. They claim this is all just smoke and mirrors. They argue that while millions were supposedly pledged, the actual tax-paying businesses on the ground were left bankrupt. They say they received vastly inadequate relief, or in some cases, absolutely zero help to compensate for the total destruction of their businesses.
And this frustration didn't just stay local, it reached the federal level. In a January 2026 letter sent straight to the U.S. House Oversight Committee, Edwin Reed demanded a formal investigation. He wrote, "While long-standing, tax-paying businesses like mine were denied meaningful relief, millions of dollars in recovery funds were funneled into unqualified nonprofits." Reed is actively pushing Congress to investigate both Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Frey, alleging that these crucial recovery funds were essentially misappropriated to politically aligned groups instead of going to the actual riot victims who lost everything.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly complex question, one that the courts are now going to have to answer. Does a city actually owe its citizens protection and compensation when its own municipal policies, like throwing up barricades and allegedly ordering police to stand down, result in the complete destruction of their livelihoods? When a neighborhood officially becomes a no-row zone, who ultimately pays the price? This is a massive legal battle that could completely redefine municipal liability in America, and we are absolutely going to be watching how it all unfolds.
So that video kind of explains it, and we'd like to bring in Mr. Reed, Edwin Reed here, business owner from Sincere Detailing. And there's been no media outlets except us to even put this out in detail like this and use that video to explain it. But, the modern technology we have now makes that feasible. Edwin, welcome to our show. What's going on, man?
Well, I want to explain it. If you got a moment, I want to break it down from the video and everything so your viewers can understand exactly what's going on. Our city of Minneapolis, someone called in a favor on the businesses. We have two conjoint cases. One is Cup Foods case because they lost revenue, and one are the 8 businesses, including me and all the other petitioners on this case. Someone called in a favor for them to throw our cases out, to run our lawyers scared to deal with this matter. There was a judge called Edward Wall who took up Cup Foods case. There was actually 5 judges on the court docket that viewed our case to be nosy, to have an opinion. They walked off because they labeled it as a complex case. And then Laura Thomas, who is our judge, had both of the cases. But when Cup Foods case came up, Edward Wall booted her out of the way, took Cup Foods case, threw it out in 14 days, and sat on it for a 90-day decision, and then presented the case after 90 days. When I went to the appeals court for Cup Foods, because the cases are totally different, there's different additives in each case. The appellant court judges affirmed Judge Wall's decision to toss the case out. Now, keep in mind, there's 7 different things that it even mentioned in the video, 7 different laws that they broke that we can prove. We have everything to prove what they did to us because I documented everything over the course of time. And at that particular time, I couldn't speak because the gangs would have killed you. And it was a lot of criminal activity going down there, and they were robbing the people who were coming to visit the memorial. The gangs were. And when people found out that they were the ones being robbed, they stopped coming to the area, and word got out around the whole city that area was a no-go zone, and officers couldn't aid anyone up there. So visitors stopped coming. As you've seen, they were redirecting people if they showed up. So they were doing that to our customers, and there was 26 murders in that intersection a year after George Floyd's death. I saw 6 people get killed. Some of the killers are still running the streets, still to this day, because it was a lawless area. You can literally get killed up there and no one's coming to get you. Ambulance is not coming in to save you. And that's a constitutional right that was broken for the businesses and the taxpayers there. If we call for 911 and you guys tell us on the phone that you can't aid us, I mean, like, keep in mind, this is a community and business owners calling 911 when this took place. And so the city, someone called in a favor from either Tim Walt's office or Mayor Fry to throw our cases to the sand. And they don't want to honor our rights. And Capitol Hill versus Seattle, this happened, this autonomous zone formed in Capitol Hill, Seattle, where the same thing happened to us, but only George Floyd died 50 feet from where my business is. And not only that, it was much worse. No one in this city endured what these business owners endured because they turned on us and tried to extort us after visitors stopped coming. So Ralph, barber shop guy, he got shot in his legs, had to remove a testicle, had to drive himself to the hospital because they specifically told us by phone. They either didn't answer because they heard the call come from that area, or they answered and said, we have a gang task force officer, when they told me me and my client was doing business, and we saw someone get shot at 8:30 in the morning. This gentleman died on the side of 40th and Elliott. I called 911. 911 told me specifically, we don't have officers for that area. They're not allowed to come there, but we do have an officer who is taking care of that area. His name was Christopher Double. Now, Christopher Double, he was involved on the no-knock warrant killing of Amir Locke. And also, he was involved in the shooting with the other gentleman who got shot in the eye with a rubber bullet. So, Arredondo, Mayor Jacob Fry, that officer, and Andrea Jenkins is all involved on our case for testimony if we ever go to a trial. And they're trying to protect these people. So they're trying to throw our case out so they can't take the stand. And it's criminal what they're doing to us because we can prove everything that we're saying. They're trying to throw our case out on 2 things that they want to throw out, but there's 5 other things that are left in the case.
Yeah, Mr. Reed, so our viewers understand exactly what happened. That autonomous zone in Seattle, where all those businesses were shut down, the city of Seattle settled with them, even though George Floyd did not die there. He died on 38th in Chicago.
Absolutely.
But the protest was around. And if you look around the city, around the United States, a lot of those areas where there was protest behind what happened on 38th in Chicago, these businesses have been taken care of. There's forgivable loans. Why isn't the city of Minneapolis, the state, why are they giving so much money to these nonprofits and not to the businesses?
Well, see, we knew it was bad, but we didn't know it was this bad as this brother is telling us, who has lived through that. See, I live in the neighborhood. And see, my brother, he's a retired teacher, coach. Don, know my brother, but he does hauling. And he has little guys in the area that help him. And he hears all this. Oh, man, we get off work. Let's go up to George Floyd Square and get our stuff, man. We got to go up there. They got everything you want up at George Floyd Square. Just go on up there. So that has been going on since day one. And the fact that they don't allow the police there, for one, is terrible. But, brother, I did not know. And I live around there. And I know it's bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Well, the city's playing damage control right now. They keep on saying that it's safe in the city because of this lawsuit came about. Because 444 officers, I'm going to tell you this tale, 444 officers left the force 2 years after George Floyd's death. The city gave them $22 million because they were going to sue the city, and it would probably have been about $1 billion lawsuit for all those officers because they were being investigated by the DOJ. Now, everything that I'm telling you out of my mouth, you can fact check. There's an article for everything that I'm saying. And so when those officers left the force, it created a lawless area around the whole Twin Cities. That's how everyone lost their businesses because Crime ran rampant. No one came to aid. People were dying left and right in all parts of the city, but particularly in the George Floyd area, because they were free to do whatever they want. And so what happened was, after that, the city council turned around and did an article with the Star Tribune saying we're over budgeted $20 million with the city of Minneapolis Police Department, and they already know where that money went. They gave that money to those officers because if they were got in trouble for the bad practices, because the DOJ ran an investigation on all police precincts, those officers would have lost their retirement rightfully for their dirty crimes and their dirty doings that they were doing. And so they did that to protect them, but told the businesses. Now, keep in mind, I spoke to Johan Omar at the DFL convention. Johan Omar said, well, we gave money from the federal to you guys. And I told her, yeah, you might have gave money from the federal, but you knew the nonprofit companies were the ones that were supposed to receive this money. And they took that money and falsified documentation. And that's why you see all of these busts of the preachers and the pastors, and all the nonviolent prevention programs are being busted because they falsified application to get this money from our area. There was probably $600 million advocated to our area for the businesses, but when you were an LLC, they turned you down. Now, I want to give you a specific demographic of what I'm saying. The first grant that they gave, sir, was called the Can Do Grant. The Can Do Grant turned into the Deed Grant. The Deed Grant turned into the Promise Grant. And then the Promise Grant turned into the Mead Grant. Now, these grants are all the same grants that were given by Bobby Joe Champion. Now, Bobby Joe Champion, for some reason,
here we go,
didn't do any oversight on these particular grants that they gave. And the daycare centers are all down the street from us that got caught through the Feeding of the Future. So they robbed every grant from us in that area. And I have paperwork supporting this because they turned me down. And then so the city got upset saying, well, that's probably why they sued us, because they didn't get any grant money. That ain't why we sued you guys. The grant, the reason why they're trying to protect this case and get it thrown out is because it pinpoints the fraud that took place. That's why it's so important to throw it out, because the fraud was pointed in. And now keep in mind, I want to let all your viewers know, Nick Shirley followed me from the New York Post when I told George Floyd's aunt. I was arguing with her in the street because they threw a workshop for these grants and for these businesses to learn how to get these grants. I went to every workshop, and all of these people from all these different areas, Shakopee, Burnsville, Lakeville, they came to take that grant money from the specific areas that it stated that
yes,
for, and that was the 38 of Chicago.
I don't want to interrupt you because everything you're saying, but I just want to say this because you mentioned a name. If the Republican Party had any type of power when they had Bobby Joe in the hot seat, things would have been different, but they didn't have no power. So a lot of what you're saying could not come out in the committee that the Republicans had when they had Bobby Joe in the hot seat. A lot of this stuff would have came out then. And that's why I kept saying a long time ago, it's not going to come out because the Republicans have no power to put any pressure on Bobby Joe to tell the damn truth about Greg, all of this money that's going around here.
But
that's
Greg,
why we didn't find out about
it. They know this shit.
Yes,
it's
sir.
not that they don't know it. They know this shit. They know about Bobby Champion. They know just what this brother is telling them. They know it. They know every bit of what he's saying.
Finally got somebody. Look. The bottom line comes down to this here. We all know that black folks have been living off our own misery. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But here's the deal. We could not actually prove it. And because we couldn't prove it, it's just like the lady who's up there right now. the lady who's up there right now, that woman has gotten rich off of keeping them barriers up there. That's why I sit there and say, Mayor Fry, the only reason he is the mayor right now is because socialists wanted to take over the city of Minneapolis. If we didn't have a socialist running against Mayor Fry, I would not have got all the black churches together to put him back in the office. He would have been gone, and we would have had somebody who would have went after all of them, who would have sent down a bulldozer, sent down the street sweepers, and cleaned up George Floyd Square today.
But we almost had Fatah. We almost had Fatah.
Yeah, okay, that's so what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
There? What would have happened there?
Tay knows what happened. Johan Omar knows what happened.
Exactly.
They all were in cahoots.
All of them.
Of course.
All of them.
And they're scared of me. When they see me, all of them run. They know I know. I documented it.
All of them.
All of them run.
And if JD Vance come here and he does his job, if JD Vance come to Minnesota and does and don't screw around like they did before, then we may have something going on.
Bro,
I wrote to JD Vance. JD Vance emailed me. I have an email from JD Vance. During the Annunciation shooting, he came here. I tried to meet with him to tell him about what happened, and I wanted to walk him and Donald Trump around George Floyd Square and show them how they ruined our city. They're trying to blame it on ICE now.
So ICE ain't got nothing to do with that.
Did all of this.
Yeah.
ICE got nothing to do with that.
Go and sue ICE because they try to blame the foundation of the loss of all small business and mom pop places. It was the riots and the $2 billion destabilization that did this to all the businesses. And they're up here touching base with all these businesses, trying to soothe them and make them feel good. Like, that's not what happened. What happened was when those riots took place, those officers left the force. They couldn't supply enough officers to patrol this city. Okay? All those businesses were lost due to the city's actions. And I'm letting everybody know right now. That's what happened.
Ilhan Omar, the Ellison boy, all of them Jenkins, they all went up to Powderhorn after they said, defund the police. Defund the police.
Yes.
These folks ran up here from Chicago. They walked up here. They was coming here. They would crawl their way to get up here.
Yeah.
We didn't have no police up here.
Yep.
All because these fools, they're all part of this thing.
I wrote this book, Depression, and I've developed sleepsomnia, and I haven't had adequate rest in years because people were trying to break in my shop. They were upset with me that I was just trying to keep my business afloat. None of us was in the street screaming Black Lives Matter. None of the business owners were protesting or any sort. We were just trying to stay safe and keep our businesses running. So I wrote this book called Hush Hush MPLS Order to Despise because I documented everything. And let me tell you, there was a military here, and Governor Walz didn't tell anybody this. He blocked and barricaded off all the freeways and put a curfew out because there was a military up here that were casing all the minority business areas. So this is what they did. The first night, they looted it. The second night, they came and burned down everything to get rid of evidence. That military group came here. I saw them with my own eyes, and the pictures of them are in this book. I took pictures of them. Okay, that's why this book is so important to the American people, because it talks about the fraud before it even happened. So they're scared of me, and I've had threats from the Democratic Party call my phone and threaten me, my business line, and I'm not scared whatsoever because I'm only telling the truth. It's my duty to tell the truth to the American people because I kept my mouth shut and I watched all of it. The first lie that the city told, sir, was we didn't put the barricades up there. I took pictures and seen them bringing the barricades. Those barricades are about 6,000 to 8,000 pounds a piece.
Yeah, they brought them in.
Once that lawsuit hit, everything started unraveling. And see, what the city do is when they got a criminal, they don't give a criminal a chance when they want to throw the criminal in jail, but they're the criminals now. And we're the ones that got evidence against you guys. And then they sit here and say, well, we got a strong case. You don't have a strong case. We gave you guys action. We gave you guys all the evidence about what you guys did to us. And they're riding off of that. And so what they did was someone, and my lawyer, I love him to death. He's scared to tell all of us the truth that someone called in a favor to throw our cases out. And it's unfair because they're undermining the law. And as you watch that video will tell you what laws they broke. We lost property value. All of our insurance companies dumped us because they thought that the buildings were going to get burned down. They dumped us. And so any incidentals that we had to take care of that happened with our customers in their cars, we had to pay out of pocket if that happened. And then not only that, they bled us out, and they purposely bled us out so they could take over the neighborhood. And basically, I'm going to read to you what this book was saying. In the aftermath of George Floyd's tragic death, Minneapolis teeters on the brink of profound change. But beneath the surface of promised reform, a darker narrative unfolds. Hush Hush MPLS orders to the spies unveils a chilling conspiracy and a calculated scheme by the city's officials to exploit the city's grief and capitalize on the ensuing chaos. This gripping exposes meticulously documents on how seemingly benevolent incentives mask a ruthless land grab, systematically depressing communities. Prepare to be shocked as the author lays the bare truth, revealing the truth cost of progress in a city grappling with its darkest demons. This book speaks about drastic acts of Americans' ruling class to systematically cheat and dismantle the efforts of hardworking Black Americans to create generational wealth. Reed demonstrates through this epic story of survival during the George Floyd riots how the system still undervalues the vibrant contributions of Black Americans. And what I mean by that is, we are all legit tax-paying businesses. Those businesses in Seattle, they were white. And keep in mind, did nobody stand up for us? Okay? I've been sitting here screaming at the top of my lungs to get help for our businesses. And no one came for our aid. We were treated wrong. We never did anything wrong. But why are we being treated this way versus those other white businesses in Seattle? And George Floyd didn't even die there. He died where we were. And the reason why is because the city is trying to protect a wrongful death lawsuit for the 26 victims that got killed there, and the ambulance couldn't come and aid them. The gentleman on my company's anniversary last year, he got shot in the head twice in front of his 2 kids who were infants in the back of the car. His girlfriend ran up the curb, damaged her car to get help. I came out there and tried to aid this gentleman. He was dead. Now, this is what they said in the Star Tribune. They basically said that this man, they resuscitated this man, and they brought him back to life, which is a damn lie. This man died the day I seen him. They're saying he lived to the 25th of March. He got shot on March 15th, okay? This man was gone. And we called 911. They wouldn't even answer the phone for the first 30 minutes because they knew it was from that area. And so it killed all of our business because when people find out that police are not patrolling that area, it automatically makes them feel unsafe. Those barricades were out there in the streets for 3.5 years. Not one. See, they're combating our lawsuit with lies, saying that because they can do that.
We all saw it. We all saw it.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it.
It's not like it's not like we did not see it. Miss White asked a question about who has the power. Well, the Democrats have the power to shut this all down, Miss White. That's who has the power. Nobody. And if Donald Trump was really wanted to be president, as he say he is, Donald Trump would come here himself and make them tell the truth. We'll make them tell the truth because we still haven't heard. I mean, we're hearing half the truth right now.
I wrote a letter to
Governor Walz, the mayor, right? Both of them, they know the truth. They know. All of them activists that's down there in George Floyd Square right now, the reason they're holding that place hostage, I've always said that. They are holding a community hostage because they're being paid by the mayor of Minneapolis. Again, let me
and they can
repeat
sell their
myself.
dope and stuff there and do all their devilment there.
That's right.
Mr.
Yep, exactly.
Something.
Hostage.
I wasn't aware of this. Now, Agape, they were the first nonviolence prevention program in the state. Now, let me read this to you because I got documentation and I got proof of what I'm saying. Now, this is what Mayor Fry did. Before they were even a business, Mayor Fry took COVID funds to give $1.5 million to Agape Movement because officers wasn't going to come and aid that avenue. They needed them to patrol that avenue because officers were scared to get killed over there because every time they go over there, someone's protesting to want to harm them because of the death of George Floyd. That's not our fault. That's not our responsibility, okay? But I want to read this to you guys. It's very quick. It says $359,000 security contract in June of 2021. The organization Agape Movement is a central neighborhood group that employs ex-gang members as violent interrupters. The $359,000 contract was awarded to the to monitor security and protect city workers as they remove the street barricades at George Floyd Square, 38th Street in Chicago. The backlash. Minneapolis City Council members vocally opposed the move, arguing that Mayor Fry overstepped his emergency powers to bypass standard city council approval. Now, that right there tells you Mayor Fry has the power to fix this, whether city council is involved or not. He chose not to help our businesses because he doesn't give a damn.
That's right.
Last year, it was May 24th. I met with him last year at the Black Business Fair. And notice, anytime they come there, they never bring cameras because it's never genuine. They don't want to show nothing genuine to these black people. But they roll out the red carpet for the Somali community and gave them all the money and gave them all the power to fix their businesses because Lake Street is a prime location that runs in and out the city. I've been here since 1984. It's divided in 7 counties. They can't tell me nothing. I've been here since 1984. You can't fool me. I know what you guys did. You gave them all the money and you used them as fake voters because they were voters that are not even certified as Americans.
That's right.
They're not citizens.
They gave them all IDs.
If you're
it's
not,
what they did.
If you're not bringing 50,000 voters, you will not get help. That's why that money never came to us. It went to the nonprofit companies because they give it to them every year so that the politicians can get money for their campaigns. That's where the biggest fraud is. They know about it. That's why Amy Klobuchar is so interested in becoming the governor when she makes more money in Washington because she wants to keep the people in place because that money, since Rudy Perpich was governor, and they got greedy once that big pack came through, the unrest pack came through. It was about almost $500 million or more.
Arnie Carlson.
The unrest businesses who lost out. They took
let's go all the way back. Let's go all the way back to Arnie Carlson. That's when it started getting crazy.
Yeah.
Every culture, every group that has been resettled here in the state of Minnesota uses the same blueprint of how to get money for the Catholic Church, for the Lutheran Church who brings these people over here. What the problem happened was Amy Bach and the Somalian community, they got greedy. Yep. If they would have stuck to the blueprint, we would have never known. Because every other group that they brought over here uses the same blueprint. You hear these people all the way talking about, right? Well, look at black people. Why black people can't do this and black people can't do this here? Because we're not getting the money these other cultures are getting when they come into this area.
Don't vote.
Asians get money. They buy in the black community. The Somalians get money. They buy in this. The Hmongs get money. All of them has used this blueprint. Absolutely. If you give the black people the same blueprint you gave everybody else, we would be doing the same thing. We would be out in Lakeville buying houses. We will be out buying business out in making business in Maple Bow. We will be out in Coon Rapids with our kids having a school. But we were never put under the same blueprint of all of this money. The Somalis got greedy. That's exactly what happened.
Absolutely. Amy Back was training the Somalis how to run shell companies to get this
That's
money
right.
and get that money.
That's right.
The campaigns. That's what that was about.
They got rich. They got rich. But see, there's another side of this too. And again, I always say this on this show. I'm not even upset with the Somali community for all the money I get. They got. I didn't get none of it. I wish I did. Anyway, I do need some of that. Anyway, but the people from Minnesota Department of Education, Minnesota Department of Health and Human Services, the City of Minneapolis Department of Health, and those other gang prevention BS groups, and all those people inside those organizations that thought it was okay to give this group $6.5 million, to give this other group $3.5 million, to give this group over here $3.5 million, and then not check on anything for 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait. He mistakenly used $6.5 million. Yeah. You shouldn't have gave it to him in the first place. You maybe shouldn't have gave Zion Baptist Church $1, $2, $3 million, unless you really knew they could carry out the mission.
But Don, you're hitting it right on the head. Because when we grew up, we used to say, if you see a fool, bump his head. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
And so all these entities in the Black community, not just the Somali community, but the Black community too, we have to go back and turn our focus to these agencies.
Yeah.
Let's find out who's back, who's in them, who's making the decisions, what their political alignments are, who they're friends with politically, and who's giving them the marching orders. Now, I know the marching orders for the Minneapolis Foundation. They had a guided giving group, especially for the Black community. Like, okay, Anthony, we want, our Black News wants $25,000 to broadcast 3 times per week for 6 months. Which isn't enough. That's a drop in the bucket, a penny. It's beneath us, actually. They got this guided group of Negroes, HNICs, as I call them, that will make a decision and say, well, we don't know if they should get that. Or, yes, we should get that. You have executive branch organizations within the state of Minnesota that are just giving away money to their friends. So when you look at 38th in Chicago, when you look at the transition from Wilhelm's Drug into Cup Foods, into the 7-Eleven being there first, it was a 7-Eleven first, a store and a gas station. There was a restaurant there on that corner. The Dairy Queen down the street was probably one of the busiest Dairy Queens in the state of Minnesota, just because of the kids across the street at the elementary school. That area has flipped, dropped, and just did things that should never happen. And I think that the city needs to go in, the state needs to go in and reverse it and open up 38th in Chicago and make it a business node. Make it look like 48th or 48th in Chicago down there. You know, this is a theater. I mean, you can make it look, put a roundabout in there, do something, but open it up. Because it's not benefiting. Why do we have to live in the ghetto on 38th in Chicago?
I just have to ask Mr. Reed a question. And this is the thing. I don't know what he's going to think about this. Cup Foods. To me, I've lived in this area. I mean, I'm 75 years old. I've lived in the south side of Minneapolis my whole life. Cup Foods, they seem to me have been problematic. I mean, I don't know that that's something that people have always felt comfortable going in, and the community that they had, the quality. I don't know. But what effect, is there anything you want to say to me about specifically?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been knowing their family since 1985. My mother was Alberta Knight. She worked at Butler Drugs with Tom, who ran the pharmacy. And Sam, they are legit business owners. Now, what made them get that bad rap is because the gangs used to hang out in front of their door, doing all the crime. Them guys are legit people. I know them well, and I wouldn't sit here and play a game, and they got the blame on them because keep in mind, there's two things you can do when someone does a criminal act in your store. You can tell them to leave, or you can call the cops. None of the elderly were there when the cops got called on George Floyd. They leave at 5:30, all the adults. They come in from 9 a.m. to 5:30, and then they have their family members learn how to run the store. And they called the cops on George Floyd for the $20 bill. Now, you keep in mind, of course, if you're doing well in a black community, people are going to hate on you and people are going to say things about you. Those people are legit business owners. Everything that they own and everything they had, they did it legitly. And I know that from my heart. I wouldn't make this up. And people can say all they want about that family, that they're Arabian and all that. But you know how it is. When you're owning things and you're progressing, you're growing, you're doing certain things, people have a different perspective on how they look at you because they feel that you're not helping who and you're not helping there. But see, it's not their job to help anyone if they don't want to. But I will tell you this. They did offer to pay for George Floyd's funeral. Floyd Mayweather paid for it, but they did offer. But they were so scared to show their face because they were receiving death threats from all across this country.
I don't understand why Black Lives Matter didn't pay for it with all the money they walked out of here with.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I want to tell you about Black Lives Matter. They never came over there, not one time. Did I not see them over there? They didn't protest over there, not one time at East 38th Street. Not one time did I see Black Lives Matter. Now, I want to break down.
The local Black Lives Matter was there, right?
I never saw them. I was out there right in front of that place. I'd never seen Black Lives Matter out there.
Yeah, Chantel Allen. I mean, I was there when Chantel Allen, when Todd Granger of St. Paul, Black Lives Matter. I was there when they was there.
Okay.
So I can vouch for them.
Most of the time, I was working in the back most of the time, and they made it to where all the business had to come through a dangerous back alley. So they ordered everything off in the front, and my customers were scared to even bring their cars back there, and they just happened to know me well from all those years. I've ran my business there for 16 years. That neighborhood was a beautiful neighborhood. It had changed. It wasn't the same. People from the hospitals were coming to eat in the shop over there, get their cars cleaned, lawyers, doctors, everything. Now, keep in mind, a lot of my support through my business are white people. I can count on my finger, 9 black people have came to shop with me in 16 years. Now, you think about that.
No, I don't. I believe it. We don't support. We don't support each other for nothing, for nada, nothing, right? And that's the truth. I mean, let's be real about this thing. And it's coming to show that everything that we're talking about and saying, I mean, we're just shedding a light on it. Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Because, like I said, if the only time we're gonna get together is go after Netflix and Target, we got a problem in the community.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank. You can say what you want. If the only time we're gonna come together in the community is to release balloons instead of fighting the reason why we're releasing the balloons, we've got a problem in the community.
Huge problem.
They did eminent domain. I want to tell you something that's really shocking. Super America Speedway, they have 3,900 locations across the globe. They're a Fortune 500 company. They sued the city 2 years after George Floyd's death. The city of Minneapolis did eminent domain, rerouted their employees to other stores because they said, foul, we lost business. Our stores got ramshacked. They found 3 dead bodies in that store that they never did report. Now, when they did eminent domain with them, they're basically telling our businesses, so what? You guys didn't lose nothing. We're right across the street from Super America. So you're saying we didn't lose business as well? I have a hard time believing it. And then they go, well, we opened up the street a year. You guys should have bounced back. How do you determine that? You don't own our business to determine if we're going to bounce back or not. So it's a lot of stuff in our case that a jury has to decide. They're deciding this for themselves, Brother Don and Brother Tim and Brother T, Scott. They're throwing the cases out on assumption and opinion. But let's stick to what the law says, because that case has already been seen in Supreme Court. It's already been precedent already in the Supreme Court. And they know that. So why are you giving us a hard time when you know the businesses need aid? We're not asking for a fictitious number. We're asking for the revenues that we can prove that we lost.
But
And what would you estimate that?
Who are the people that they look to keep commandeering the area? I mean, why are they letting these people stay there? I guess one, because of course you don't have any police
They're
anymore.
worried about a riot breaking out if they don't allow them to stay there.
So they have actually taken over the area. They run that. They run it, don't they?
As long as they can keep out giving grants, the city, the people and the mayor and all the people who are in the politicians, as long as they can keep on handing out those grants, that means they can get money. Because see, the scam is to give out the grants to the people we know of.
Here we go.
Back. That's why they're not doing nothing about it.
There we go.
A visiting place and a memorial so that the city can make back that $111 million that they paid out on George Floyd claims. Like, do you know they paid out money for people just seeing George Floyd killed?
I saw that.
I know that.
I saw that. Just standing there.
I saw it on a video.
But also, the
I didn't get
settlement
done.
was supposed to give $500,000 to the. Wasn't it supposed to give out of the settlement from the George Floyd thing? They were supposed to give $500,000. Now I don't know if it's supposed to come from George Floyd's family's pocket or the city's pocket, but $500,000 was supposed to go right away to those businesses. So what happened to that?
I want to explain that to you. Okay, George Floyd's family went to Jeff Storm. Jeff Storm was the lawyer, and it wasn't that other guy. He doesn't have a license. Ben Crump.
Ben Crump, yeah. He don't have a license.
He doesn't have a license in the state of Minnesota to practice law. He was just an advocate on the case. Jeff Storm presented that case, and this is what they did. The George Floyd family gave $500 million to a law firm to distribute the money for the people at the businesses at George Floyd Square. Even that money got taken.
Where did it go?
They falsified applications to get it. No one checked. No one looked. So
it went to a comedy store. It went to a comedy store in New Brighton.
And you know what? That's
basically.
And if you look at the New York
but
Post,
nobody talks about that. They put that in the paper. Okay, so we as a people of community should know where that money went, who got it, and what they're doing with it.
Well, guess what? I was there when the people were there. There were 72 Caucasians there from different parts of the city, not George Floyd Square, trying to get that money.
Finally.
They took that money. I was there. Okay, you know, and you can't make this up because I was there and I saw them asking for this money.
For what? They're not in the area.
It didn't mean anything. Didn't matter.
Who makes these damn decisions? We have to get to the bottom of that.
You know,
is that Fry? Is that Walls?
That's Fry. Yeah, that's Walls. They thought this money was going to go on forever. That's what the thing about this is. What we got to understand is this was a money pit. Like, it was going to go on forever. Everybody was getting paid. Like I said, the people who are running, the people who have that area held hostage right now have made millions.
You know, when the fraud
you name them, they have made millions off of holding that place hostage. If I was the mayor, I would say kiss all the brown spots. I would get a dump truck. I would get workers, shovels. That place would be spot clean today.
Yep.
I don't understand how Agape got a building. Make me understand how they got a building.
I'm going to tell you how they got a building. And I rise I Rise movement. Marsha Howard is involved with I Rise. I Rise was paying protesters to go protest during the ICE. That's how Renee Good got killed. She was being paid by I Rise. I Rise took a lot of money from us. And not only that, the Pillsbury Theater took a lot of money. The Sabbatical Go Solar programs took a lot of money from us. It was just the oversight of the whole thing wasn't checked. So they ramshacked everything. So when the businesses and the LLCs went to go file and get help, they turned us down because all the money was gone. And they didn't tell us a reason why. But we found out why during the lawsuit. Why?
No, all the money isn't gone. They just didn't want to pay you all. They didn't want to pay you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They want to take one for
the money is still there. They still got money.
Yep. Marsha Howard inherited $3.2 million through her nonprofit. She has a nonprofit that no one knows about. And I know about it because
we don't know about it. Yeah, go ahead.
She helped a lot of the Blood gang members who were on the RICO statute. She paid for their lawyers with some of that money to help try to get them off the case. I talked with her. She told me all of this. And because when she seen me and they seen all the interviews that I did, all of them started running when they saw me because they know I have proof of what they did. Agape, they hired, like I just read to you, they hired the Bloods to protect that area from getting burned down by the military group that was here. That's why Mayor Fry paid them behind closed doors from the city council. The city council was calling them a traitor. Andrea Jenkins vowed to us that she would go to the legislation, look it up, there's an article. She vowed to the businesses $25 million to help out with helping the businesses rebound from the unrest. And you know what? She ran from that. She ran from that. People were threatening her. They surrounded her car. They wanted her to see. It was a lot of forceful things that took place here that were by law illegal. People should be in jail right now for the extortion and the stuff that they did towards city council.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Reed, we're coming to the end of the show, but I need to ask you some questions about some of these businesses that received the $500,000, if you know, a piece of that $500,000
go up
from their
go up to that listening music. Go to that. Keep going. No, the other way. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, but I think Don's talking about the Ward 8 Community Benevolence
right there.
Fund.
Stop. Number 13.
listening media, $40,000. Have you heard of them?
Those were businesses that got started. They gave that money for people to start businesses over at George Floyd Square because all the businesses left. People,
Okay, and then
property values dropped. People couldn't even sell their properties. So what the city did was, from those grants, they gave money for people to start wellness programs and businesses.
How about number 14? Number 14.
Mm-hmm.
Number 14 is Shaletta's. I don't even know who that is. Makes Me Laugh in Cottage Grove, 42,974.
What's that?
Well, those are actually one of the businesses that were there at the workshop. They gave that money to her, but her business wasn't in that area.
That's right.
A lot of the recipients lied on their application and said that they were from that area just to receive the money. That's how they obtained it.
Shaletta, make me laugh. What is that? Is what I'm saying. Who is that? We need to know. Okay. We need to find out who this person is. So if you're listening right now to my voice, number 14, they got $42,000. I need to know who this person is. Somebody on the internet will find that person, look that person up, and tell us who that is.
Well,
I want to know.
That goes back to what I said earlier. If you see a fool, bump his head.
Well, I want to bump that. I want to bump that one, Mr. Scott. I want to know who that person is today.
Check it out, though.
There's a story
here. It's saying number 15, Mr. Reed. Number 15 is your business. It says Sincere Detailing Pros, $50,000. Did you not receive that?
We received that, but that wasn't from the city.
Okay.
That was from George Floyd's family indirect. And the city tried to take ownership of it, the benevolent fund. That benevolent fund was from the lawsuit of Jeff Storm. Call Jeff Storm. Jeff Storm will tell you that money came from George Floyd's family personally. Now, that $50,000, because the city wouldn't allow us to get grants, thank God that $50,000 came from George Floyd's family and the law firm. That's where it came from. The city tried to put a hand on it and say, hey, we did this for you guys. The city didn't do that. That money was from Jeff Storm's law firm indirectly.
Okay.
Yep.
And the Pillsbury, the Just Turkey, the Dollar and Up,
Pillsbury,
the Finishing Touch,
Pillsbury Theater, they're a nonprofit. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This was supposed to have been for the LLCs only, not the 501cs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
They heard.
Yeah, we just had to go through that.
Everybody hijacked it.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Well, we might have to go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say. I'm sorry, Mr. Reed.
Keep in mind, it was so bad with the fraud that they allowed it to happen because those people knew the city council. If you didn't know somebody from the city council, you got nothing. That's a fact.
Mm.
Oh, look at this. See, I told you. This is what I love about my fam on the internet. These people, I ask them for something, these people will come. So this lady, who that is.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't she work for WCCO?
Yep, we know.
I think she did.
She hosts a lot of the black business fairs.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Get them paid.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And the $50,000 were literally nothing.
$40,000 for what? She got $40,000. Gillette, $40,000.
She had nothing to do with the 3700 block and the 3800 Street block that money was given for. She's not even from there. They hijacked everything.
Dang.
Each business was supposed to get $3.5 million a piece from about $600 million
did she
for that area.
She's got to answer to this.
Yep. Hey, let's just show.
She's got to answer to this. What did she get that money for?
I don't know.
Is this, wait a minute, is this a Mayor Fry friend? Is this a friend of Mayor Fry?
Probably.
I don't know. Probably. It sounds like it.
That's her website there?
Absolutely.
If it ever comes in.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So we're getting to the end of the hour, so let's look at this as far as money goes.
I'm not letting this go.
Neither am I. Edwin, I'd like you to confirm this. And this was based on the data that you sent me. So let me get the right one. My bad. Boom. So the creation of the no-go zone, the shot spotter up 2,500% increase. And you guys have about a $50 million claim or loss in business. How close is this picture to what you're telling us?
It's pretty close because we had a matrix group come out and did the property value decrease. And as you know, outside of that area, the property values had a moderate increase outside from where we were. All of our property values dropped. They plummeted because of that area. People couldn't even sell their properties. People, they wasn't making ends meet. So they had to sell their properties because they bled us to death with those barricades being over there. We couldn't receive commerce. So that property value and the 8 businesses, including the revenue, added up to that amount of $49 million worth of damage on all across the board. So like I said, it wasn't a fictitious number that was put together. These were actual accurate numbers that were put together from a matrix group that was high.
Wow, that's deep.
Wow, that Promise Act thing. That's the one I was talking about a couple of weeks ago on the show where I applied. I have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And they said they called me right back and said, "You live one block out of the area. You're not qualified to get it." But they keep sending me things, and they give this Promise Act to people, Coon Rapids,
Absolutely.
Brooklyn Park, all out there. But
Cottage Grove.
I live a half a mile from 38th in Chicago, but I get turned down. See?
Well, Ryan Ray
That's crazy.
from KTSP, he talked to me. He ran that story about the Promise Act grant, how $100 million were fraudulently taken by people who wasn't in the area. He ran that story about a week or two ago, or maybe even a month ago. But he got that information from me. I told him that it's the Can Do grant, is all the same grant. It just expanded. The Can Do turned into the Deed grant. The Deed grant turned into the Promise grant. The Promise grant turned into the Mead grant. The Mead grant was for people who had property who needed to do an overhaul to fix their property. All the Somalians on Lake Street took advantage of that. Some of them got $14 million. They took advantage of it. And they wasn't even from the area where that money was supposed to go to. So all the applications were fraudulent. They made up stuff.
And the governor knew about this. And the governor knew about this.
They all knew.
Of course they knew about it.
And the mayor knew about this. I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the lieutenant governor knew about this.
Of course they knew about it.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, they knew about all this.
They knew about all of it.
We have to continue this conversation because I think there's a little bit more going on, and we're going to have to get you cut loose on a Saturday morning where we can go. We went in depth today because no one's seen that video. This is the first time this video has been played publicly on a broadcast, and it'll be there. You can watch this on YouTube because this is some deep, interesting stuff. And I don't know what's going on. And someone just and I don't know what's going on 38th in Chicago, but there seems again to be a lot of mismanagement with the money going to the businesses and to the nonprofits and other people that are in there that shouldn't be in there. Just because you're black don't mean you should get some cash for 38th in Chicago. And so I'm going to reach out to Governor Fry's office. I interviewed him before when I was at iHeartRadio, and I'm going to see if he'll join us with Mr. Reed on maybe a Saturday morning and just let's have this conversation, not an attack, but just an analysis of what's going on and what's happening. Well, there was some more.
Hey,
we should call her also.
Yeah, that right there.
Ask Mr. Letter.
Yeah.
But so much of the issue is we're not hearing all the information. We're not getting all of this stuff. They're hiding all of this stuff. It's all being done behind the scenes. And Mr. Reed, having been unfortunately part of this and being in the middle of it, he sees it and he's willing to tell it. And so we need to keep the conversation going.
Well,
I get it. Mr. Reed, go ahead.
They're doing damage control is what I call it. When that lawsuit hit, everybody starts scattering like roaches saying, oh, the city is safe now. Oh, we got to
turn the light on them. Turn the light on these roaches.
The statement that they made, I want to just say this one time. This is the statement that they said. They said, we brought officers back up there to that area September 15th of 2023. Now you think about that. George Floyd died in 2020. You had officers gone for 3 years? Is that what you are saying with that statement? And that proves our point.
Yeah.
The city charter letter said officers were limited in that area. The city charter letter says that. Now, limited means none. Because if I give you a sandwich and say, hey, it's for a limited time, that means when you go there, it may not be there. So they were picking and choosing on what crimes they wanted to go to.
Hey, didn't you guys sue? Or was that just Don Samuelson that sued the city for the cops? Did you sue? Was you part of that Don Samuelson?
No, that was Rachel Pelosi. That was Rachel Pelosi.
Okay.
Sued the city for police protection.
Yeah.
To hire more officers. They asked me to be a part of it. They wanted me to be an advocate of it, but it goes against what I was saying, how we didn't have officers. So I didn't join it.
Oh, yes, exactly.
All right.
Again, Mr. Reed, thank you so much for catching us up and putting us right on point with this what's going on 38th in Chicago. We will follow up and we'll see if we can get some heavy hitters like yourself here, Anthony T. Scott Pressure and Reverend Tim Christopher. Thank you again, and we'll figure this out step by step. You've watched our Black News special Memorial Day broadcast, and we never got to the gala, but we will.
We gotta get to that.
Because
You got to get to the gala,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. If someone went to the gala and wants to reach out to
Yeah,
any one of us, that would be great.
Please do. I'm
And
gonna
I
make some
haven't seen
calls
any
now.
pictures.
I'm gonna actually make some calls,
Yeah.
see if I can find some the hoity-toity
Yeah.
people that went. So.
We'll figure out. You guys stand by.